I think a lot of physicists have given up on philosophy, which is essential. I think physics without philosophy is like a seed without water, fruitless. It's important for physicists to also be philosophers, and I've always tried to have that. This is why I love the work of Professor Carlo Rovelli.
Me too.
I think Professor Carlo Rovelli is also a great philosopher, and there is absolutely no stigma attached to that. I think all great physicists at one point in time were great philosophers. Look at Sir Isaac Newton. Look at Sir Roger Bacon. Look at why not? Yes. Look, for example,
Francis Bacon.
I apologize.
No, so
right.
Roger Penrose is what you're thinking of, and then you combine that with Okay, I understand.
He also has a philosophy of things. So Roger Penrose is amazing. It's Dr. Eric Weinstein. His he had an interview. I'm not sure whether it's recent, maybe a 1-year-old interview with Sir Roger Penrose before Sir Roger Penrose won the Nobel Prize.
Yeah, it was about 2 years ago. Yeah,
right on the portal, I believe. It was very interesting. And you can see the admiration in Sir Roger Penrose's eyes of Dr. Dr. Weinstein, his idea of geometric unity. Why must people say nay? Give it a chance, man. I mean, this is what physics should be all about.
I can't think of any other reason other than jealousy.
I don't know. I've never thought badly of anybody else's work, so I cannot put myself in their shoes and judge.
Well, the reason I say that is because I see that in myself. There's so much jealousy in myself, and there's so much criticism that I do of other people in my own head. Luckily, I temper it and I try to stay away from it. But I see that quality in myself, and so it's something I can identify in others, mainly because I suffer from that, perhaps on an order of magnitude much larger than the other people that I'm saying suffer from the same sins.
I don't see that in you, sir, at all. As a matter of fact, I admire you greatly, and I admire the work that you do, and I hope Series of Everything podcast stays on forever. Because you do a great service to the community. The guests that you've had on are remarkable people with remarkable ideas. I think if your podcast was ever to stop, I don't know what I would do in my free time. I absolutely love it. So,
well, that's extremely kind of you. Thank you so much. Did you get to watch that podcast with David Gross and Carlo Rovelli?
I have such admiration for both gentlemen, very much so. But at one point in that interview, when the host calls Professor Rovelli a poet or something to do with philosophy, if you can see the expression on Professor Gross's face, this is a Nobel Prize winner. One of the best physicists.
It was an expression of what? Distaste?
It was not. It was
contempt?
More like of something of that nature. It was not something that Professor Gross should be associated with. And I'm pretty sure that he never meant to have that. But for some reason, the host had him, Again, philosophy should have never been divorced from physics. Period. Unfortunately, that divide has been created. And as a result, I think we've lost a great deal in physics. Again, these new ideas, everybody wants new physics. Why not new perspectives on old physics? There's nothing wrong with old physics. Just because those books start smelling musky at times doesn't mean you should put them away.
That's one of the reasons I'm excited to speak with Jack Sarfati or his collaborator Keith Wasner from California State, Fullerton, because at least in Jack's words, it's not new physics. It's the same physics, just from another perspective. Well, his is from a metamaterials perspective, and then using that to change what is that proportionality factor that's right beside the stress energy tensor.
Right. Yes.
What is your opinion on why James Sheehy attested to the... Let me make sure I phrase this correctly, please. And I'm so glad that I'm just with you here. I'm terribly not nervous, which I usually am extremely nervous, because I feel so comfortable with you.
You definitely should. You're one of the best people that I would like to know on a personal level one day. You truly are remarkable.
Okay.
And I hope your podcast brings you great fame, sir. You deserve it.
Thank you. I'm not sure. I'm not looking for fame, but I know what you mean. Success in some manner. Yeah.
However you want it.
Yes.
You deserve it.
Yes. Thank you. Maybe. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. If people. Okay. No, I'm not going to do that. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, it was essentially, there's nothing different than what I was saying. Essentially, so the CTO of Naval Aviation Enterprises, James Sheehy, correct?
He was at the time. He no longer is. I have no idea.
Sure. Why did he at the time personally vouch for the patent? For its operability?
Maybe it was the passion that I actually showed him. I actually went to the blackboard in his office. It took a great while to get to that level. But I was able to go from fundamentals to show him that it is possible to get such high energy densities. Again, just from the Heaviside, some people say Heaviside Gibbs version of Maxwell's equation, but let's just say Oliver Heaviside's representation of Maxwell's equations. I was able to convince Dr. Sheehy that these kind of energy densities are feasible. And if they're feasible and how I was able to show them, then his statements make perfect truth. He was not speaking badly or he realized the passion in these ideas and the possibilities that they represented. And he is a great man, sir. If you met him, you'd truly be in awe of this man. He's not just a good man, he's a great man. He's able to listen and he's able to understand what other people would just not even pay attention to. Immediately they will say no, impossible, rather than consider the conditional possibilities of these so-called seemingly impossible feats.
When earlier you were referring to the patents, you mentioned that they were incomplete in some manner. But as far as I know from patent law, they have to have enough information in order for someone to be able to reproduce it reasonably if they had the technical know-how. So does that mean that technically it shouldn't have been patented?
Not at all, sir. They're as far as the way they were enabled, it's perfectly fine. Because remember that in the whole idea of the Pais effect, controlled motion of electrically charged matter from solids to plasma states subjected to accelerated vibration and or accelerated spin via rapid acceleration transients. Now remember that. That's always been presented. Of course, the plasma state was never discussed. That's where some of these anomalies may occur. Just leave it at that. I cannot speak further on the subject.
Speaking of anomalies, have you ever encountered any UFOs? Have you had any experience with quote-unquote the phenomenon?
Not, sir. Absolutely none. Sometimes I'm not sure whether, actually, I'm not sure. I was about to say sometimes I wish I had, but now I'm not sure how I would react. maybe it would be tremendous. Maybe I would lose control of my faculties. God forbid,
No, I feel exactly.
I mean, this is such. Oh, I know we're dealing here with the realm of hyper speculation.
Sure.
But so many people have said that they observe these, even when you look at some of these cave paintings showing objects. I mean, you don't need to have a doctorate in physics to start questioning, were all these people liars?
If you enjoyed this toe clipping, then the full video is linked in the description. You should also sign up for Toe Mail, which is again in the description and the pinned comment. You'll receive immediate access to all exclusive updates from the Theories of Everything podcast. It also helps me communicate directly with the core toe community. You'll also receive my top 10 toes. Think of it as the intellectual version of Quentin Tarantino's Obsession.